All right. So we are at quoting. Now, for some reason, I skipped quoting. I don't know what I was thinking about. I was going to put on the same clothes and try to film it just like picking up from. No, I didn't do that. But I I skipped quoting. I'm not sure why I skipped quoting. I thought maybe because it was just such specific information. I didn't want to go through the specific information in the quoting process. But I think it's important that I do go through it because it's important that you understand how I quote. I gotta get something to stabilize my camera. So let's hit it. Let's go through the quoting part of it.
Commercials say. And let me tell you, he has gotten those same cremations down to $2,900. Yeah. It's some over Virginia Beach area. I can't tell you the zip codes. I just see the commercials on TV, and they're pretty good. I would have to look up their name. Black funeral home over there, and so regardless of what they charge in whatever area it is, just can get it down to price, like low price. All right, so you have a pen and piece of paper there? Yes. All right, so there's a couple of things that come with.
So I always ask my clients if they have a pen and piece of paper because I want them to be completely engaged with me when I talk to them about their quotes. When I give them their quotes, I want them to be able to see it as I talk to them. Even before I quote them, it's always a slow buildup. I begin to tell them what comes with the policy. There's a number of things that come with the policy. So I kind of tell them all the things that come with the policy before I actually give them the quote. But I'm keeping them engaged by having them write it down.
Your policy. Robin, I want you to understand when I say come with, what I mean is like cars come with steering wheels. These things come with your policy. Number one, accidental death. So if you did.
So I'm just going to go through it real quick so we don't have to really listen to it. So what I do is I talk about number one, uh, you get accidental death. It comes with the policy. You heard me, just like cars come with steering wheels, comes with. It comes with accidental death. It comes with dismemberment. It comes with transport of the remains if they die outside of their home state. It comes with dismemberment if they lose an arm, a leg, a foot, an eye, but they live. They're going to pay out for those things for accidental dismemberment. So there's accidental death, transport, and accidental dismemberment. Now, if they qualify for one of the same day coverage plans, then they're going to also get terminal illness, whereas they're going to get 50% of their they can get 50% of their policy up front, and the other 50% gets paid out at the time of their death. They can use it for whatever they want. So those are the things that come with the policy. So I'm just going to skip right through those.
It died by accident, plane, train, automobile, act of war, terrorism, anything unnatural if you get dismembered. No question about that. Okay. So these are all full life. They all build cash value, so it's like having a savings account and a life insurance policy all in one. You can borrow from the cash value. It does not decrease, nor does the monthly payments increase. Now, you can always add more coverage. It will let you add more coverage, and they won't make you do it in $5,000 increments. Most companies say you got to add more coverage, but you got to do it at $5,000. So you can call me up and say, "Hey, Will, I got an extra $26.33.5." They will allow you to increase the policy by 23, whatever I just said. They will find the amount of coverage will come for you. You don't have to do the whole policy. Is they will let you decrease coverage. So if you run into a financial problem, instead of losing coverage, they will let you decrease coverage, decrease your payment, and you don't have to start all over. And you get to keep the cash value that you put out. Okay. Does that make sense? Any question about that? No, that's fine. Okay. So on your piece of paper, we want to have three sections: section one, section two, and section three. In section one, I would like for you to write.
So what I do is I do a visual picture for them. I tell them once to write section one, section two, and section three. I give three quotes. And after I give the three quotes and I start with the highest and I go to the lowest. All right. So that's how I quote them so that they can have an understanding of, so they one, they can see it, they get a visual picture of it, and at the same time they're involved in the quoting process. Because I'm going to be throwing you a lot of numbers. So you don't want to be in a situation where you've done all this work on the front end and then on this time where it's the most important, because you don't quote after you quote, it's the bets are off. You got to make sure that you've done your best job on the front end, because the quote is the last thing to get you over. Because if you try to backtrack after you quote it, and try to deal with certain things after you quote it, it's not going to work. Try to educate after you quote it, try to do discovery after you quote it, it's not going to work, right? So you got to make sure that when it's time to quote, you are ready to quote. All right, section 1, section 2, section 3. Start with the highest, then I go to the lowest.
$10,000. Now, with the understanding that these can be increased at any time and they can be decreased at any time. So I want you to remember that as you look at these. Without taking food off your table, without you struggling on a monthly basis, without you hurting yourself, which one of those would fit the best in your budget and not stress you out?
So I asked that question, because I want them to think about everything without hurting yourself, without stressing you out. Which one would fit the best in your budget, right? Because I want them to consider it from the aspect of, it's going to be as easy as possible for me to pay this. Because the last thing I want them to do is to, you know, get caught up in a policy and then they realize it's too expensive. So I asked that question because it doesn't mean that I'm guaranteed that they're going to tell me that it's the best one for them. It's not guaranteed that they're going to get the one that's the best one for them. But I try to stay away from large policies, especially with this, because if you start going over $60, it gets kind of sketchy, man. It gets kind of sketchy. So, yeah.
Probably two. Now, I'm going to just ask you a follow-up question, not because you weren't clear. I want to make sure I was clear. God forbid something did happen, like an emergency happened in your household, would you still, in your best recollection, be able to handle the emergency, the regular bill, 26 without any problem? Yes, because what I'm going to do is discuss this with my sons and see if we can divide it between the three of them.
All right. So, I always ask that one question that it wouldn't stress you out. They say, yes, it's good. Then I ask a follow up question. If you had an emergency that you had to take care of come up, would you still be able to take an emergency, your regular bills, and the amount of coverage or amount of premium? And I say the premium. Now, she just brought up an objection. This objection here, she's talking about spreading it out, talking to her boys and making sure that they can help her pay for it. Okay. All right, let me just look here. All right, so for you, who would be your primary beneficiary? So I didn't address it at that particular time. So here's where I should have addressed it. I should have addressed it here. However, I found out later on that wasn't even her real objection. That wasn't it. That wasn't the problem. So I just wanted to do this quick video just so you could kind of hear how I do the quote. That's how I do the quote. She did come up with an objection. I didn't address it at that time. And well, you'll see that I did actually address it, but it wasn't her real objection. She brought it up. She said, I'll split it up between me and my boys. That was a part of the objection, but it wasn't her real objection. But stay tuned for the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.